Once upon a time, in a small village, nestled between rolling hills and dense forest, there lived a farmer named Thomas. He was known throughout the village for his generosity and kindness, always willing to lend a hand to those in need. Thomas had two children, a son named William and a daughter named Amelia. William was a dutiful son, working alongside his father in the fields from sunrise to sunset. He was content with the simple life they lived, finding joy in the reading of nature and the satisfaction of a hard day's work. Amelia, on the other hand, was restless. She longed for adventure, excitement, and the glittering lights of a distant city she had heard so much about. As Amelia grew older, her desire to leave the village increased. She dreamed of a life beyond the fields, where she could wear fine clothes, attend grand parties, and be free from her controlled village upbringing. One day, unable to contain her longing any longer, Amelia approached her father with a bold request. "Father," she began, her voice trembling with hope, "I want to go to the city. Please give me my share of the inheritance so I can start a new life there." Thomas was shocked by his daughter's request. He had always known that Amelia was different, that her heart yearned for more than the quiet life they had. Yet he loved her deeply and wanted her to be happy. With a heavy heart, Thomas agreed, divided his wealth between William and Amelia. Amelia wasted no time in packing her belongings and setting off for the city. As she left the village, she barely glanced back at the home that had nurtured her for so many years. Her heart was filled with excitement and hope, convinced that the city would fulfill all her dreams. Upon arriving in the bustling city, Amelia was dazzled by its splendor. The towering buildings, the bustling market, and the vibrant nightlife were everything she had imagined and more. She quickly got herself in the city's social scene, spending her money on lavish parties, fine clothes, and luxurious accommodation. For a time, Amelia was the toast of the town. She was surrounded by new friends, all of whom admired her beauty and envied her wealth. But as days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Amelia's fortune began to dwindle. She spent recklessly, never thinking of the future or the consequences of her action. Eventually, the day came when Amelia realized she had nothing left. Her friends who had once flown over her disappeared as quickly as they had appeared. Alone and penniless, Amelia found herself wandering the streets of the city, desperate for work but unable to find any. Hunger munched at her. She was forced to take a job as a servant in a wealthy household. The work was grueling and the pay was little, but it was all she could do to survive. Each night she lay on the cold hard floor of the servant's quarter. Amelia thought of her father and the life she had left behind. One particular harsh winter night, as the wind blew outside and the cold seeped into her bones, Amelia made a decision. She would return home, even it meant facing her father's disappointment and her brother's scorn. She had learned a bitter lesson and longed for the warmth and comfort of her family. With what little money she had saved, Amelia bought a ticket for the long journey back to the village. As she traveled, her heart was heavy with shame and regret. She had been foolish and prideful, and she feared that her father would not welcome her back. When Amelia finally arrived at the edge of the village, she hesitated, her feet rooted to the ground. How could she face her father after everything she had done? But before she could turn away, she saw a figure running towards her from a distance. It was Thomas, her father, his face alight with joy and relief. He had been waiting for her every day since she has left, hoping and praying for her safe return. Tears filled Amelia's eyes as she ran into her father's open arms, overwhelmed by his unconditional love. "Father, I am so sorry," Amelia sobbed. "I have sinned against you and against heaven. I am no longer worthy to be called your daughter." But Thomas held her close, his voice filled with tenderness. "My dear Amelia, you were lost, but now you are found. You were gone, but now you have returned. That is all that matters." With that, Thomas took Amelia home, where her brother Williams greeted her with a mixture of relief and forgiveness. The family was reunited, and though the journey had been long and difficult, Amelia had learned that true happiness lay not in wealth or adventure, but in the love of her family. And so Amelia stayed in the village, walking alongside her father and brother, her heart content at last. She had been the prodigal daughter, but now she was home, where she belonged. As time passed, Amelia's return became the talk of the village. People whispered about the young woman who had left in search of Glendor, only to return humble and changed. But Amelia paid no mind to the gossip. She was focused on rebuilding her life and repairing the relationship she had taken for granted. Her father Thomas was overjoyed to have her back, but he could see the weight of guilt and regret that still hung over her. He decided to hold a feast to honor her, a celebration to show that her return was not just accepted but embraced. He invited the entire village, determined to make it clear that Amelia was once again a beloved member of the community. The night of the feast was a grand affair. The house was filled with warm glows of lanterns, and the smell of roasting meat and fresh bread wafted through the air. Villagers gathered, bringing gifts and kind words, eager to welcome Amelia back. William, though initially hesitant, had seen the change in his sister and was ready to support her in her new path. As the night went on, Amelia found herself surrounded by people who despised the rumors, showed her nothing but kindness. It was a stark contrast to the hollow friendship she had experienced in the city. There was no pretense, only genuine affection and care. During the feast, Thomas stood to speak. The room fell silent as everyone turned their attention to the head of the table. "My friends," he began, his voice filled with emotion, "tonight we celebrate something far greater than any riches or success. We celebrate the return of my daughter, Amelia, who has come back to us after a long, difficult journey. She left us searching for something more, and though she had faced many hardships, she has returned with wisdom and a heart full of love." Thomas paused, looking at Amelia with tears in his eyes. "We are not perfect and we all make mistakes, but what matters is that we learn from them and find our way back to the people who love us. Amelia, you are home now, and there is no place you belong more." Room erupted in applause, and Amelia's heart swelled with gratitude. She stood, her eyes scanning the crowd, and finally spoke. "Thank you," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "Thank you all for your kindness and forgiveness. I was foolish and proud, thinking that I could find happiness in material things and in the approval of strangers. But what I have learned is that true happiness comes from the love of those who truly care for you. I am so grateful to be home, and I promise never to take that for granted again." The feast continued, and for the first time in a long while, Amelia felt at peace. She knew she still had so much to learn, but also knew that she had the support of her family, the community along the way. In the days and months that followed, Amelia threw herself into the work of the farm. She found joy in simple tasks she once despised, like tending to animals and planting crops. She began to appreciate the quiet beauty of the village, the way the sun rose over the hills in the morning and the way the stars filled the sky at night. She found new genuine friendship with the villagers who welcomed her into their lives without hesitation. Her relationship with William grew stronger too. They became a team, working side by side and sharing the bondings of the farm. William saw the change in Amelia and respected the way she had taken responsibility for her action. They would often sit together in the evenings, talking about their dreams and hope for the future, finding a closeness they had never shared before. Amelia also took time to help others in the village, particularly those who are struggling. She knew what it was like to feel lost and alone, and she wanted to be the source of comfort for those in need. She became known for her generosity and kindness. Years passed and Amelia found herself content in a way she had never imagined. She no longer dreamed of the city or longed for the life of luxury. Instead, she found fulfillment in the love of her family and the simple pleasure of the village life. She had learned that most valuable things in life could not be bought with money, but were found in the hearts of those who cared for her. Thomas grew older, and as he did, he took great pride in watching his children work together to maintain the farm. He knew that they could carry on the legacy of kindness and generosity that he had instilled in them. On his final day, he passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family, in that they are strong and united. Amelia and William continued to run the farm, honoring their father's memory in all they did. As the years went by, Amelia never forgot the lesson she has learned. She remained grateful for the second chance she had been given and made sure to live a life filled with love, humility, and service to others. The story of the prodigal daughter became a tale that parents told their children in the village for generations. It was a reminder that no matter how far one strayed, there was always a way back home, and that love and forgiveness were the greatest gift one could ever receive. And so Amelia lived a long and happy life, surrounded by the people she loved and who loved her in return, forever grateful for the journey that has brought her back to where she truly belonged.